Flare network has passed XRP, Hbar, and Litecoin when it comes to TVL. Check this out, folks. Flare Networks passes Hedera in TVL as the world starts to realize how Flare has more TVL than many of its predecessors. Total value locked, by the way. We're talking about projects such as XRP, the XRPL, we're talking about Xdc network, we're talking about Litecoin. And here they're writing that Stellar is next to get leapfrogged. Look at this. Here is Flare with $140.2 million, August 24th. Then behind it, we've got Hedera, $132.8 million. We've got Ripple, $102.0 million. Then XDC Network, we oftentimes cover these projects, folks. $11.7 million, and then we've got Litecoin, which has a $2.9 million, folks. So why is it happening? Folks, the reason is that Flare Network is gaining traction, it is gaining momentum. Look at this, Leader Alpha has gotten a reply from Flare. Every milestone is proof of what's possible when you focus on security plus real utility. This is what we're talking about. Look at this. It is apparent that Flare Networks is emerging as one of the industry leaders. Fantastic conversation between Paul and Hugo on how Firelight is reimagining traditional staking. Folks, Paul and Hugo had a really good conversation. Hugo had a lot to offer. We're going to be looking at that in a moment because we got really important points from none other than Hugo himself. We're going to be looking at that in a moment.
To place. How secure do you feel like Firelight will be? Explain to me a little bit more about maybe the security side of what Firelight would look like.
Yeah, so let's, I guess, step back and first of all think about what Firelight is doing. Firelight has two main things. You stake your FXRP, which is known as Flare XRP, into Firelight, and you can stake it to, I guess, multiple different pools. And these are different ESSs, economically secured services. So some of those ESSs can be conventional, like restaked services similar to things like EigenLayer, such as a market for blockchain security.
Okay.
I want to secure a proof of stake based system. I would like to be able to grow that security very quickly, and I can harness XRP to do that. The market for staked security exists, but is unlikely to expand at a rapid pace. And so we've been working with Firelight, and they have this concept of economically secured services. So this is more about putting your XRP to work in more conventional.
Awesome, folks. We're going to be looking at this in detail as well, some crucial areas from this point over here. How to unlock staked collateral, how are institutions able to generate yield on their XRP, lending platform integration, and Ripple's official EVM sidechain versus Flare, folks. We're going to be looking at that as well. Just a moment, let me just, first, network is becoming this bull over here, how lifetime wealth is coming as XRP for DeFi expands, how Flare Network is a sleeping giant. Look at this conservative scenario, different opinions that what Flare Networks can achieve in terms of market cap. The sky's the limit, folks, because it is disrupting XRP. It is disrupting various other projects and providing them with use cases like XRP, BTC, and Doge. So yeah, this is what we talked about. Some crucial support levels as well when it comes to technicals, folks. So now let's check this out. Yes.
Into Firelight, now we have staked XRP. What about the DEXs, lending protocols, even yield markets? Are those going to be out there?
That's the interesting thing. So those exist already on Flare. Once you put your FXRP into Firelight, you receive the staked XRP, not Firelight.
Okay.
That's
All right.
absolutely critical, right?
Yep.
So then
Yep.
you've got your XRP in Firelight earning a return. You then have this staked XRP, which is a liquid representation of your stake. It has value, which should be almost identical to the XRP that you have put in, because the risk of staking with Firelight is low. And then you can then use it on a DEX or on a lending protocol. So, let's say you wish to derive further yield from your XRP. You have staked it in Firelight, you now have staked XRP. You can now take it to a lending protocol and borrow dollars against it. You can then lend those dollars out and for a yield. So that allows you to transform your XRP from a non-yielding asset to an asset that derives yield from at least two sources. And that's kind of the concept behind why we wanted to liquid staking protocol that then lets you do more with your XRP.
That's fantastic, because I think that is, well, first of all, gives you a lot of flexibility with your XRP, and I think really starts to kind of ramp up the opportunities you have in terms of getting more yield. With that being said, as you start to move forward with Flare, and I wanted to kind of hit on Vivo, because we are seeing some of these DAT companies, digital asset treasury companies out there, obviously Vivo being one of them, but you guys are doing something specific around yield generation. Can you talk about that?
So one of the most important aspects of a DAT company is you want to be able to grow your stake in the network. Let's say in this instance, it's XRP. You don't want to have to keep raising money in order to increase your position. You raise money when your equity value is higher than your net asset value. There's lots of routes to do it, but largely a lot of people have done offerings when their equity value is higher than their net asset value. But an alternative way to do it is if you have an asset that yields, you can convert that yield back into the currency of your choice. If you've got XRP and you can derive, let's say, 8%, then your treasury, your balance is increasing at 8% per year, which is a very good way to do it. So we were talking with Vivo Power. They like what Flare is doing. They like what Firelight is doing. They like our downstream DeFi ecosystem from staking. They decided to commit $100 million of XRP to the Flare ecosystem.
So do you feel like this is going to be one of the tool sets that institutional capital could come in and say, hey, this is a great example of how
the tokens they're holding? So, really our focus in business development around the DeFi ecosystem for XRP on Flare and for Firelight has been around courting exchanges. And then, of course, having other types of vaults, not Firelight. So one of the things that's quite nice and a huge differentiator between the vaults that currently exist on XRP and the vaults that can exist on a smart contract chain like Flare is that the vaults for XRP naturally go and get their economic exposure through a centralized exchange. The problem with that is they have a counterparty risk. They have a counterparty risk with that centralized exchange, meaning if that centralized exchange goes bankrupt, then the money that vault provider has put on that centralized exchange may be lost. And that's rather unpleasant, and we've seen that before. In fact, we've seen it many times in our industry. One of the things about vaults with regards to Flare DeFi, and there will be vault offerings for Flare DeFi specifically that are separate from Firelight. One of the things about vaults that can use Flare DeFi is those strategies can be carried out entirely on chain, and therefore you don't have the same exposure to the credit of the exchange. And this means that you're using a DEX, an on-chain lending protocol, an on-chain balance protocol. And so whilst there is still economic risk with regards to the markets, the price risk or liquidation risk, you don't have the same risk, counterparty risk. And this is quite nice relative to the vaults that currently exist on XRP.
Is there any model in which this could work with some of the lending platforms out there? Because you have lending platforms now starting to propagate, many of which have talked about putting XRP as an asset class within their loan structure. Is there a way to somehow integrate what Flare is doing for active loans, something like a Morpho?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been talking to a lot of the Morpho-like entities.
That's intriguing to me.
I'd also say that more classic TradFi loan companies are also very interested because they hold large amounts of XRP, and they want to go to effectively get more XRP. They
Why
want
wouldn't
to go
they?
to compete in that market.
Yeah.
And if they can get yield out of that, that's a good
Fantastic.
mechanism for them.
Well, I think this is going to really start to advance what's happening in the vault business, especially because it's still very early and there's a lot of new products out there. We were looking at Doppler Finance, good example, in terms of their XRP vault. Will this be, do you know, and we haven't seen numbers yet coming out of what we've seen with Firelight, but do you think this is going to be competitive with some of the other vaults that are out there in the market?
I definitely think it'll be competitive. But of course, all return relates to risk, ultimately. The more risk you take, the higher return you will get. But I do think it will be competitive. I think it'll be a little better in terms of returns for the same level of risk. Really what you want to get is the highest return for the risk you're taking.
Well, and if you look at what Persist, of course, this is kind of the one that everybody's comparing against. This is obviously on the EVM sidechain.
Why would people come to Flare and Firelight versus Persist?
Exactly, yes.
Well, I think one of the things that is very interesting from simply a competition perspective is that Flare has built Flare by itself almost entirely. We raised the financing for it, we built the team, and we've always been agile in that sense. We've always been very big supporters of XRP. In fact, we airdropped our token to the XRP holders. That has enabled us to take a different view on how markets work. With respect to the Persist team, they are an employed team. They're an external contractor. And I just frankly don't believe that an external contractor can ever really have as much skin in the game as a huge entrepreneurial team. And I think really the testament to that is that, Firelight chose to launch on Flare, didn't choose to launch on the Persist XRP EVM sidechain. And that's because Flare understands better what is needed in the market because we have a lot more to lose.
Well, yeah, usually when you have that much skin in the game, it does change your perspective on things for sure. In terms of yield products, will we see most of the new products coming out on Firelight in the beginning, or will they phase in products as they grow?
I think they'll phase in products over a multi-year planning cycle. Obviously, you can see how the market takes the first.
So folks, what do you guys think about Flare Networks? Do you think that it indeed is about to give the investors and holders lifetime wealth? Is the lifetime wealth coming? I would really like your opinions. Do it in the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Patreon and by following the link in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.